Subaya Subanen, bagkus kilala mo, bansa ta Subanen. Tamlon kita hindi asipago Subaya Subanen, bagkus kilala mo, bansa ta Subanen. Tamlon dayana kita tatulona, hindi mo siya silingawan, sungat at Subanen. Pagtasan ng bansa na ganita silingawan, magkakabangan kita, sama-sama ita, lonta. Magkakabangan kita, lonta sa Subanen. Kita rinlan, selalu kita. Bekas bansa na ganita silingawan, magkakabangan kita, sama-sama kita, lonta. Magkakabangan kita, hantang sa Subanen. Kita rinlan, selalu kita. Gulen na lona, bansa tangilala, hanalapit danang, muwanan diwang muna. Pagtasan ng bansa na ganita silingawan, magkakabangan kita, sama-sama kita, lonta. Magkakabangan kita, hantang sa Subanen. Kita rinlan, selalu kita. Pagtasan ng bansa na ganita silingawan, magkakabangan kita, sama-sama kita, lonta. Magkakabangan kita, hantang sa Subanen. Kita rinlan, selalu kita. Pagtasan ng bansa na ganita silingawan, kita rinlan. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the song entitled Patasanta Bansata. Okay, so Patasanta Bansata. So the song says that we have to raise our culture, raise our cultural community. So we have here, it talks about our unity towards um, towards um, reaching other people in terms of letting them know that the Subanen people are existing. We are not just people who are just merely written in the book, or a group of people who are just part of a history. So we are a living group of people who are there to somewhat live what others can. So this time we will start once again with the Subanen 101 tutorial series. So in this series, you will be learning about the Subanen language as a whole. So you will learn why or how Subanen language came to be what it is today. So we'll talk about the Subanen language, we'll talk about the Subanen culture, and also later on we'll discuss about Subanen literature. Okay, so in this part we have Subanen 101 tutorial series. So I would like to introduce myself. I am Ronji D. Modi. I am a lead advocate for the Center for Subanen Studies. So this is in Lapuyan, Zamboanga del Sur. So currently our center is not yet physically uh, it's not yet physically existing. It is not yet existing, and but we hope that this will be in existence for some months at least, so that it will become a place for that deals with Subanen language, Subanen culture, and of course the Subanen literature. Okay, so in this series, this will be our Subanen 101 Season 1 Episode 1. This talks about the orientation. So this is an orientation for as to how we will go through with this webinar series. So it's no longer webinar series, but it's an offline webinar series, and hopefully you will enjoy, and most especially that you will learn about the Subanen language. So first, we have our general guidelines. So our guidelines for Subanen 101 tutorial series, or the Subanen 101 tutorial series, is a gathering of both the speaker and non-speaker of the language. So when you say speaker, it's someone who can talk about the language, someone who can share his ideas using the language. Wherein the non-speaker is someone who cannot speak, so basically cannot speak, more, at least zero level of knowledge in terms of speaking the language or the Subanen language. So the speaker of the language shall participate as a source and initiator for any demonstration and actual use of the language in either online or offline mode. So I am hoping, or I wish, that those who are here, who are joining, who are watching, who are listening this tutorial series, I hope to those who are speaker or to those who can speak after this episode, maybe in the next episode, especially when you will join the webinar series, then you can speak the language. At least we can have, you can talk or share the language, share your ideas or anything that you can share by using the Subanen language so that I can learn myself. I can learn with what you are speaking about, especially if you are not a Subanen Southern, then other audience or other people who are listening or wanted to learn who has a zero level of knowledge in terms of speaking the language can grasp or can have or can learn about it, and hopefully we can do it. So it's either online or offline. So our next guideline here, since this is a convergence of Subanen learners of different Subanen languages or using various lingua franca, we will be using English and Filipino alternately in order to reach wider audience. So we hope we can reach the widest audience as possible. So that's why we are using English and Filipino. So maybe so this time we have English version. Maybe after this we can have Filipino version so that those people who could hardly understand English or those people who would prefer to listen this tutorial in Filipino can also have the option to listen to it in Filipino. So English and Filipino, as what I have said, English and Filipino is alternately used in order to reach the wider audience. So here in the future, we will be using Subanen as soon as we reach fluency of the Subanen language, as it is our primary purpose. So our primary purpose is to let you know, or you to let you become fluent in the language. And for those who are Subanen speaker already, at least you can identify those characteristics of the Subanen language. So of course you know how to speak. So this time I will let you know how it should be written. So how it should be written, and you will know also the function and the characteristics or anything about the Subanen literature. And as we have discussed before this, that you will be an initiator, or you will demonstrate your level of fluency to others so that you will be inspired and they will learn from you. Next is we have the orientation on Sabanan languages. So maybe you will be asking, why is it that we have here languages? So when you say languages, it's more than one, right? So Sabanan languages, Sabanan as an ethnic group has its six and now becomes eight languages. So in each of those Subanen languages has its own dialects. So most probably it has only one or two or three or more. So a certain language has its variety. So when say variety of a language, it is called as a dialect. So it's not just Subanen, it's not just a dialect, but it's a dialect cluster. So Subanen is clustered among the dialects. That's why we have languages. So they are clustered according to their classification, and they were identified as a language as a one. So we have here Taulet, Kalibugan, Subanen, and Gutud, Gutalak, Subanen, which are both spoken in the central section of Zamboanga del Norte. So they are spoken in Zamboanga del Norte. So Taulet, Kalibugan, Subanen, and the Gudud, Gutalak are found in Zamboanga del Norte. But I am not sure as to where the Taulet, Kalibugan are mostly residing. But for sure, the Gudud Gutalak, as the name it says, they are most probably in the municipalities of Gudud and in the municipalities of Gudud and Gutalak and nearby areas. In of course in Zamboanga del Norte. So those are the two newly identified Sabanan language. Again, the Taulet Kalibugan and the Gudud Gutala. So we will move to the other Subanen languages. So these languages includes the Subanen Central, the Subanen Eastern, Subanen Northern, Subanen Western, the Subanen Kalibugan, and of course the Subanen Southern, in which that would be the language that you are in, because that's the Subanen language that I am familiar with. So, but then since as what I've said, it we are all Subanen, so there is what we call a level of understanding that I can understand in terms of listening to other groups of Subanen. But since we are of different language, that's why we cannot understand each other fully, because we have our own different forms of speaking or using the language. That's why we're not just a group, our language is not just a dialect towards another, but it is a language. Okay, so it's no, it is repeated anyway. Okay, so this time, as we have just discussed about, so you will not be oriented with about Taulet, Kalibugan, and Gudud Butanak, but you maybe at some point they are part of these six languages that were identified long time ago. So we don't know as to what time, but on a certain time. So these Subanen languages are found here. These Subanen languages are found in the landmass of Zamboanga Peninsula. So this is talk us about the Subanen languages in general. So first of these Subanen languages, we have Subanen Eastern. Subanen Eastern is in the northeastern part of Zamboanga del Sur, eastern section of Zamboanga del Norte, and in Misamis Occidental. So from that places, some part of Zamboanga del Sur, as far as I know, we have Subanen Eastern in Josefina. I don't know with other municipalities within Zamboanga del Sur, but as far as I know that Subanen and Josefina are Subanen Eastern. And then for Zamboanga del Norte, I think the neighboring municipality of Josefina in Norte or Zamboanga del Norte is the municipality of Serio Osmeña. I don't know. Uh, I think to the extent and this language is also spoken on the nearby areas in Zamboanga del Norte, aside from the municipality of Serio Osmeña. So in Misamis Occidental, generally or supposedly they are all over the province. But until now, there are still Subanen along the coastal area, but sad to say they do not, I think they do not identify themselves as Subanen, or they cannot already, and they cannot speak the language. I don't know. We are not sure if they still identify themselves as Subanen, but on some parts of the province of Misamis Occidental, especially in I think in Bonifacio, there are still Subanen there, Suban community even. But in terms of fluency with the language, I'm not sure. But there are also Suban communities in Don Victoriano Chongbian, that is just a neighboring municipality to Josefina, and then in Concepcion and other municipalities and even cities, because Misamis Occidental, as we know, there are three cities, the Tango, Basamis, and Oroqueta. But with Oroqueta, I have known someone who are interested in learning the language, and most probably, or for sure, they cannot speak the language, most of them. And the elder or the eldest is around, maybe they're already grandparents. At that age, they cannot speak the language, but As of now, they are trying to revive their identity as Subanen by means of learning the language. Maybe some of you here are from those areas, and I hope and pray that someday you will be learning your own language, not just with the Subanen Southern, but it helps also in discovering your own language in the future. Okay. So from Subanen Eastern, actually Subanen Eastern are previously an inhabitant of Salog Valley. So okay, so Salog Valley, where one of its dialect named is derived. So Salog Valley from the word Salog Valley, Valley, Ginsalugnan or Ginsalugan, or the Salugnan Subanen, as the name of its dialect is derived. So most of them, or supposedly, if they were not already there, the Subanen of this area or the Subanen Eastern should be the protector of the Malindang National Park. So I think they should be benefited with the national park. So Mount Malindang National Park, and Mount Malindang is the highest and only mountain. I'm not sure if it is the only mountain because it's a big mountain in the Misamis Occidental, and Misamis Occidental is just nearby the provinces of Zamboanga del Sur and Zamboanga del Norte. Okay, so from the Subanen Eastern, this time we will proceed to the Subanen Northern. So Subanen Northern is spoken in the northeastern part of Zamboanga del Norte. So this group of people, or the Subanen Northern, are inhabitants of the Pitan and Dipolog cities and its nearby area. So the Pitan and Dipolog cities. So those are the places where the Subanen Northerns are. So the Subanen Decayo is one of the dialects of the Subanen Northern. But so far I cannot identify other Subanen groups of Subanen Northern. So Subanen Northern is highly Filipinized. It is the language that Rizal learned in his exile in Dapitan in the 1890s before his execution in Bagumbayan, or currently known as the Luneta Park, or much later the Rizal Park. So they are the protector mostly. I don't know how big is the Rizal's shrine in the Pitan, but for sure they are the protector. Or if they are no longer there, but supposedly those people who identify themselves as Subanen Northern could protect and be benefited with the Rizal Shrine National Park. Okay. From the Subanen Eastern, then we have the Subanen Northern, then this time we proceed to the Subanen Central. Subanen Central is spoken in the central section of Zamboanga del Sur towards the central section of Zamboanga del Norte. So from the names itself, they are really the center, or at the central part of the area. So generally they are at the center of Zamboanga Peninsula in general. So it previously occupies the coast or the coastal area of Iliana Bay in Pagadian City, Zamboanga del Sur, towards the eastmost of Tucuran, towards the Panguil Bay between Llano del Norte and Misamis Occidental, then to the southern section of Salug Valley or Salug Valley, towards the central section of the Zamboanga Cordilleras, towards the coastal section of Sindangan. Okay, so Zamboanga Cordilleras means the mountain ranges of Zamboanga Peninsula. So these mountain ranges starts in Malindang. I think Malindang is part of the Zamboanga Cordilleras. Then it will pass through some or many mountain ranges like what I have said, from the Mount Malindang going down in the south. So from Malinda, then we have so many mountains along the way. Then it reaches to to the city of Zamboanga, which on this part they named it as the Pasunanka Pasunanka Park or National Park. Then we have also the Zamboanga Eco Zone. So they have the national park and at the same time the Eco Zone. So in the Eco Zone, I think it is located in Barangay San Ramon. So the center is in San Ramon, Zamboanga City. San Ramon, yes, in San Ramon, Zamboanga cities. This time we have the Subanon or Subanon. It is spoken in the western section of Zamboanga, Sibugay, southwestern section of Zamboanga del Norte, and in Zamboanga City. Okay, Subanen or Subanon is also known as the Subanon Western and the Kulibugan Subanon, which are highly mutually intelligible with each other. So, as you can see, they are called as the Western Subanon because the other group are called the Eastern Subanon. That's why we need to reverse the name of. We will stick to the names of the Subanon in that form because Western Subanen or the Western Subanon is has its two branches, the Subanon, the Western Subanon and the Kulibugan Subanon, because they are mutually intelligible with each other. Okay. So Subanen has lesser dominance of schwa sounds, unlike the other majority of the Subanen. So in their name itself, they have no schwa sounds in their words or in their language. So I'm not sure if 100% really that they do not have, but as far as I know, they do not have the schwa sound. So Kulibugan, on the other hand, has a strong Islamic influence in terms of religion and culture in general. So most okay, so I think this is done. Okay, so it is repeated. Okay, so we'll discuss on the Subanen Southern. The Subanen Southern is spoken in the eastern section of Zamboanga, Sibugay, and in the southern parts of Zamboanga del Sur. Zamboanga del Sur, and this group encompasses two peninsulas and three bodies of water: the Sibugay Peninsula and the Bagayan Peninsula. So those are the land masses of this area: the Sibugay Peninsula and the Bagayan Peninsula. So the bodies of water include Sibugi Bay, Dumaquilas Bay, and Iliana Bay. So those are the place where you're okay. Anyway, so that's it. The Subanon Southern living outside of the Zamboanga Cordillera, starting from Sibugay Valley in the north and Olutanga Island in the south. Most of the ancestral domain are bodies of water, such that Subanen Southern has ancestral waters unlike the other Subanen subgroups. So the Subanen Southern is the only group, I'm not sure with that, but na, what's that? So they are the only group who has the ancestral waters. Okay, so this time we will discuss the uh, three dialects of the Subanen Southern. So we'll start with Sibugay Subanen dialect. So Southern Subanen is the language of Subanen in Kabasalan in Sibugay Valley towards Sibugay Peninsula and in the western section of Dumangkilas down south to the island of Ulutanga in the province of Zamboanga, Sibugay. Sibugay Subanen is a dialect of southern Subanen, mainly in the eastern part of the province of Sibugay or Zamboanga Sibugay, along with Tausug, Cebuano, and Hiligaynon, or locally known as Ilonggo. Okay, Subanen Southern is also a language mixed with in some Lakewood and Kumalarang along with the Subanen Central. The Subanen Southern is dominant for Subanen Central in Lakewood and Kumalarang. Lapuyan, Marcos Tubig, and Vincenzo Sagon is also using the Subanen Southern. Okay, so yes. Okay, Subanen, Dumangkila Subanen is also prominently known as Lapuyan Subanen dialect spoken in the eastern section of Dumangkilas Bay or at the southwestern part of Zamboanga del Sur, living along with the Chabacano, Cebuano, and Maguindanao. Okay, so we have last group of Subanen Southern. They have also Southern Subanen or the Subanen Southern is also spoken in the peninsular area of the southernmost section of Zamboanga del Sur. The peninsula is also known as the Baganyan Peninsula, or locally called as Gatausung or people of the peninsula. The peninsular Subanen dialect, or yes, the Peninsular Subanen dialect is a southern Subanen dialect spoken in the municipalities of Bagañan Peninsula, including the southern section of the Malinao, San Pablo, Gipuz, San Miguel, Dinas, and San Miguel, Dinas, Dimataling, Tabina, and Pitogo. Okay, so Peninsular, I think they are just the same. No. The Peninsular Subanen or Sung Subanen are people living along the coast towards the vast plains and rolling hills of the peninsula, living along with the Cebuano, Boholano, and Maguindanao. So this, the Lapuyan Subanen dialect or the Lapuyan Subanen is a sub-dialect of Subanen or Dumangkila Subanen, the Subanen Southern that is dominant along the Lumangkilas Bay, especially in the municipality of Lapuyan. Other dialects so far are the Sibugay Subanen and the Peninsular Subanen, variations of the Subanen language. So with this, in this part, it will just read, and it's up to you on how you will interpret such product. Okay, every barangays of Lapian has its own or has its variation and have developed through times as much as most of its current Subanen settlers are migrant from its neighboring Subanen communities in the distant past. So those are the characteristics of the Lapuyan Subanen. This time we have the variation of Subanen, Lapuyan Subanen. Subanen and Lapuyan have lived along the coastal areas of Dumangkilas Bay to the deltas and river banks of the Lapuyan River and Marwing River. So we have here the variations again, still on the variation of Lapuyan Subanen. The Lapuyan Subanen has an indirect Islamic or Arabic influence in terms of words and terminology, which have shaped the Subanen in Lapuyan, as it is once part of the protectorate of Sibugay. So no Sibugay is uh, uh, the Lapuyan Subanen has an indirect Islamic influence in terms in terms words and terminology which have shaped the Subanen in Lapuyan as it is once part of the protectorate of Sibugay. So once upon a time of its history, Lapuyan was once intruded by the marauders or the marauding team and kidnapped mostly properties and Subanen. Okay, this time the variations are still on the variation of the Lapuyan Suban. So recently, Warais have occupied coastals in Danganan while the Cebuano have entered fertile valleys of Tiguma. And more recently, the broader barangays occupied by Cebuanos including Maralag, Talabog, San Jose, Bulawan, Sayog, and Tipasan. So the variations of the Lapuyan Subanen, first we have core areas in Zamboanga del some barangay Poblacion. So in Barangay Poblacion and Marwing are also occupied by the Cebuano and other Visayans and Luzon migrants. So Barangay Pampang has close community of Islamic and Christian faith among with the Maguindanao and the Sabanan people. So in Barangay Pingalay and Linok Madalam have heavy Muslim population with the Subanen population. So the majority of the barangays or the 26 barangays of the municipality are Subanen dominated areas. So other barangays with other cultural communities have settled for good in spite of differences. So the municipality was once called as Little America or Little America is also known as the name of the municipality of Lapuyan, which started most probably in the 1900s as the CNMA missions was assigned in Zamboanga Peninsula and Lapuyan as one of the pioneering mission of the said religious organization. So thus Lapuyan Saban probably has Lapuyan Cebuano. So this is just a special perception or a phenomenon that happens currently in Lapuyan. So the Lapuyan Suban probably has the Lapuyan Cebuano, were being used by the non-Subanan groups to communicate other groups or the Lapuyan Cebuano. It is using the Subanan terms and other important terminology that is absent in Cebuano. Aside from the Lapuyan Subanen, the municipality has its own Lapuyan Cebuano. So basically, this is just a theory wherein some people of the Lapuyan speak the language and adapted the Subanen words. Okay, so this time, from orientation of the various languages of the Subanen, we will move to the orientation of the Subanen orthography. So the Subanen orthography basically used Filipino orthography and unconsciously develops its own Subanen orthography to respond to the complexity and purpose of use of its own written language. Okay, so where's are we? So written language. So the Subanen orthography is developed by non-Subanen speakers through a native speaker in an anthology, Bible, and other forms of cultural studies is done during the Spanish colonization and American occupation, and even up to the recent times. Then we have the orthography is basic in learning a written language. So learning language through its written language is much more useful. Although learning through spoken language is still effective and valuable. So from there on, we have the comparisons of the orthography or the orthographies, or we'll talk about the difference of orthographies. So we have here Filipino and Spanish orthography. So we have Filipino and Spanish orthography. So basically, most among the prominent difference of Filipino and Spanish orthography, from the Spanish orthography uses C, for example, for ka. They would probably use CA as the spelling of ka, but for Filipino, spelling for ka is KA. So that is one of the difference between the Filipino and Spanish orthography. So all the major languages in the Philippines use the Hispanic orthography or the Spanish orthography before, especially during the Spanish time. So among this is the Tagalog language. So the Tagalog language, they have written their literature, some of its literature, by using the Filipino orthography. So currently, only Chabacano de Zamboanga left using the Hispanic orthography. The Subanen have to explore orthography because of its complex sounding words compared to the other Philippine languages. So from orthography, this time we will have the characteristics of the Subanen Southern. So these characteristics will help you learn as to how a specific word is being spelled, and at the same time, for those non-speaker, you'll know how to read them. So by way of reading them, you can learn from it, and then later on you will, or you can speak using the Sabanan language. So first characteristics that we have here on the list. First, that the Sabanan Southern is aspirated. So there is a short E sound in the Subanen Southern. There is also a prominence of schwa sound. Then the presence of double consonants. We also have the glottal stops, compound words in Subanen, as well as compound words in English. So compound without an E. Okay. For the aspirated sounds, we have an example or set of example. First, we have T-bun. So the aspirated part here is at the first syllable. So we have Tibunan. Then we have Timbuabo. So Bua, I think no, it's a double consonant. So next we have Timbuabo, Tibunag, Timbuabo, Samba, Sahayan, Simbahan, Kaluho, Kanuho, Kalubalo, Kalul, Patan, Palas. So those words or these words are examples of aspirated sounds. So if you have observed this, the aspirated sound, this is probably, for sure, this is not found in other Philippine languages. So aspirated sound. As far as I know, the Subanen Southern is the only language that has an aspiration or has the sound, the aspirated sounds. I don't know if this is an influence of the American or it's really the nature of the Subanen Southern. Next, we have here short E. So we have short E. Okay, first we have Glen. Glen. We have tent, tent. Sila, sila. Ano? Sele. So sele. So the third word is sele. Then we have waale, le. Then apre, we have apre. Then we also have apresap, apresap. We have benhen, benhen. We have the end. Then we have mi belegbeg, so mi belegbeg. Then we have beres, beres. Again, I'm going to read the words with short e sound. So as you can see or you can observe, so in this case, we assigned words, we assigned letter, uh, a letter E in this case has its uh, two face. It can be a schwa sound or it can be a short E sound. So that's it. Again, we'll read Glen, Glen. So meaning it's different. Glen, Glenha. You're different. So Glen. So Glen. Next we have tenth. Tenth. So tenth is an English word which we adopted here. So from tenth, here we are tenth. Sele. Ah, oh yes, sele. Then we have waale, apre, apresap, apresap, bienkan, bienkan, the end, the end, miba, legbeg, beres, beres, beres is pregnant. Again, we have Glen, 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 ten, ten, ten. We have Sele, Sele, Waale, Waale, Apre, Apre. Then we have Apresap, Apresap. Then we have Benghan, Benghan, Benghan. The end, the end. Bibelegbeg, Bibelegbeg, Bibelegbeg. Then last we have Bers. So Bers. Okay. So from the short E sound, we'll move to the schwa sound. So basically, schwa sound is an inverted E in English. So in English, they have the schwa sound. So in English, it is not spelled. So the schwa sound in English, most of them are spelled. No, most of them are in English. It has schwa sound. So just like the word tourism. So supposedly between tourism or some, it has a schwa sound. So tourism. So that's an example of an English word with schwa sound. Actually the English language has its schwa sound or various schwa sound. Okay, so we'll start reading the schwa sound, words with schwa sound. So on the other side we have good done, good done. So good done. So good done means stairway or staircase. Next, glue, glue, glue. So glue is for pounding rice. Glue. Next, munsi, munsi. So munsi is a kind of fruit. So munsi. Then we have gung hu, gung hu. We also have kalang hangay, kalang hangay. Then bentud, bentud. We have another set of examples. So in this case, it was not underlined. So we have galit. So galit, it's all pronoun. Galit, no, it's not pronoun. Galit, galut, gambeteng. So galit is between. Galut is a kind of root crops, then gambeting. Gambeting is actually a colloquial word for a child. Gambeting. Next, we have gunggalan. Gunggalan, or to cat, cat, or pran, gunggalan. Then balobo, balobo. So balobo, and last but not the least, palangganan. Okay, so for the double consonant, most of the double consonant, even if these are not pronoun, I think, but we use double consonant mostly are noun. So that's what I mean. For example, here we have dlapuyan. So dlapuyan, meaning it's lapuyan. Dlambu, dlambu, it's what? So dlambu has its Lambu, we have Malagas, Margos, Bug, Buog, Pagadian. We have Tabina, Kumalarang, for Kumalarang, then Karapok, for Karpok, Sibugay, you have Sibugay. Okay, prof. So from glottals, from schwa sound, let's proceed to glotta stop. So for glottal stops, so I use H to emphasize that it should be read schwa. Ano, it should be read as an, or it should be considered as glottal stop. First, we have ganja. Ganja. Most of the glottal stops are at the end of part of a word. So ganja, jangha, ma'nan. So ma'nan and ma'nin are words, no? Ma'ning and ma'nan. It is their credit to First Valley Bank. Anyway, I'm sleepy. Okay, so we'll proceed to glottal stops. We have wa'a, ci, pusaha, pusaha, pusaka, pusaka. So those enclosed are the old spelling of the word. I'm not familiar if there are person who still write such glottal stops that way. Wa'a, ci. So wa'a and ci, though it has a glottal stop, but it will naturally comes because it has an a letter after the schwa. So wa'a, wa'a, ci, and with as well as with pusaha and pusaka. Okay. So we have another characteristics of the Subanen language is the panangino or pananginho, kambago or kanbago, babe, dampan bai, gabi kulangan. So babe, dampan bai, and gabi ulangan, I don't know how it becomes babe. So babe from the word dampan bai, or alternately called gabi kulangan. Next, we have kalutanan or kalutanen. So kalutanen, kalutanen. Ganda, jandanini, jandanini. It's theirs, meaning it's theirs. Then we have jandanhini. Compound words with English. So since we are in the modern times and English is plays an important role, so the Sabanan also has compound words with English. So the first one is in English form. So it was an English word that is adapted in Subanen. Then we have inviten, gatan, picturan, tularan, preachin, walin, prayeran. I think this is supposedly prayeran. Padangin yan. Then we have straighten. So it's a similar to English form straighten. So straighten, ladangan. Then we have mi reduce, mi baba, mi bulittle, ganda isag. And last but not the least, mahadis courage. So I don't know what's the Sabanan term for maha discourage or you are meaning you are discouraged. So this time we'll move to the differences from the other Subanen group with the Subanen Southern. So basically, the nuns and the other Subanen has they are non-aspirated. They have voiced K. They are highly Hispanized. And then they have all other double consonants, prolonged vowels. Then we have aspirated sounds. We have pintu, pintu, pengkan, kalmung, kamat, sabaw, sapyu, telo, timbang. So simply they just have no aspiration. Next, voiced key. So this is a voiced key, though I cannot perfectly imitate, but this is how is it? We have kayag, kayag, kayag. Next we have koman, koman. Then we have kamat, kamat, kaluta, kaluta. So those are the voiced K. So voiced K is not, it's unlike other no, languages. What's that? So that's it. So we have Kheg, Oman, Kamut, Kaluta, Kaluta. So the other Subanan languages are highly Filipinized. So highly Filipinized. So Filipinized is a term used for the Filipinos in the Philippines by Japanese people. So though it's Filipinized, but the influence is not really Filipino, but its influence is from the Spanish people. First, we have lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo, semana. So those are the words that are being used in a certain area, and I hope and pray that they will understand the language as soon as possible. So those are the highly Spanish. Now, highly Filipinized Sabana. So we have other double consonants. So the other glam. So bral means it's a Saban then glam. This time, other Suban group has its prolonged vowels. So we have long vowels and short vowels, which is present with a science teacher in our school. So we have here examples of a chart. This is as an example of long vowels. So we have here, I cannot give you a specific example, but those are the example of long vowels. So they are prolonged. So in the next is we have here a diagram that talks about the prolonged vowels. So it's not clear, I think. Then we have eat, bitter, stay. So those are the words. Next, we have the Subanen Southern. Okay, the differences. Okay, the differences. with the Pingoles or Lapuyan Subanen or Pingoles Peninsula or the Sung, Sibugay or the Sibugi. So the difference between peninsular versus Lapuyan is that they have the slight difference of noun articles or articles. So for the Lapuyan Subanen, it's alap mo versus alap niya. Alap mo, alap niya. So that's it. For Sibugay versus Lapuyan, double consonant in Sibugay becomes single consonant in Lapuyan. So our example here is bitum. So bitum in Sibugay specifically in what's that? Specifically in buog. So it's bitum. Bitum. And in Lapuyan, it's just gitum. Okay. So gitum versus bitum. So most of the Subanans have their lingua franca. So because of the many immigrants in the area, most of them shifted their language to Cebuano. So the lingua francas in Subanen is as far as I know, and in terms of classification as to what lingua franca they are in. So first we have Cebuano, Siquijornon, Chabacano, Maguindanao, Tausug, Tagalog, Filipino, English, Hiligaynon, Ilocano, Maranao, and Boholano. So Boholano is, as far as I've observed from a YouTuber, her name is 123 Japan, Manhelo. Okay. Mutual intelligibility. So we'll discuss on mutual intelligibility. It is a relationship between languages or dialects in which speakers of different but related varieties can readily understand each other without prior familiarity or special effort. Next, we have intellectualization is the use of language in the academic process. It is either de facto or de jure. Usually, universities, colleges, and either basic education is working on it by using their native or local language. Next, we have standardization. The standardization is either de facto or de jure language introduced by the lead government institution in a specific national or regional government and the like. So far in the Philippines, we have standardized Filipino from Tagalog. So that's an example of standard language or standardized language or standardization for that matter. Next, we have on the educational system of the Philippines. The education in the Philippines is generally one size fits all. So they will only give one and they will assume that it is better served in the region. So next we have mainstream media. The main media, especially in TV, is in Tagalog or Filipino. English is secondary language in almost all media next to either Tagalog or Filipino and other Philippine languages. So the advantage of social media, it is faster, easier communication. I hope so. Sana all. Easier communication, faster. Then we have the customers can contact a customer service representative. So by the way, social media, our presence will be in social media and hope you will see us and support this particular endeavor. So once again, this is Subanen 101, Season 1, Episode 1, The Orientation. I am Ronji D. Muli, the lead advocate of the Center for Subanen Studies at Lapuyan, Zamboanga del Sur. Thank you very much. Malon salamat and mabuhay tayong lahat. So once again, this song is dedicated to all. So for a while, so wait for a while, and I will show you a song as part of our closing song. So this song is produced by Subanen Ako Search for Star for Second Season. So actually this singer, I know the singers, and I hope you will like the song or like her song.